Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. We're back. So, this is the deal, right? This is the first of our summer series we decided to do, which will be a little bit sporadic. It might not be every week, but this sport never stops. And there might be things that are too big to skip, too important to skip. So, for example, the Nations League happened. Well, is it really important? I don't know. But Wales qualified for the World Cup. Like, important things have happened since we last spoke to you guys. So we decided we're going to come in every once in a little bit during the summer and record an episode on whatever is happening, or at least one of the things that are happening. So this episode specifically, I wasn't on it personally. Harry, Fergal, and George I've spoken about international football, and specifically the home nations, and kind of sentiments around that, the reflections on the international break in general, how much of a success or failure it's been, and how that bodes for the next phase, World Cup, for example, when it comes to England and Wales, of course. So this is the first of that series, and whenever something happens or we feel like we want to discuss something, we'll be on. And this is the first of that series, a Just Another Football Podcast summer, in the summer of 2022, episode 1.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Just Another Football Podcast, back again after a brief hiatus to review some illustrious Nations League action that's been taking place over the last week and a half. No Ali tonight, joined by Fergal and George, although he has left a brief message for me to pass on to you guys, which is that Egypt are crud and will never achieve anything again and everything sucks. And believe it or not, he did tell me to say that. The two guys here will verify that. I've not pulled that out of my arse.
Yeah.
So yeah, not much positivity coming from Ali. So maybe it's a good job he's not on tonight. So all positive
Do
vibes.
you want to explain the reason why he thinks that?
They lost a game of football to Ethiopia,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's not best pleased about it. So
I'm a bit worried about Ethiopia winning 2-0 because, like, you know, they're incredible athletes in a lot of other sports. So if they catch on to be able to play football well, we could all be in trouble here. Like, you know, I want to keep an eye on there.
Or Egypt are just bad, as he's trying to tell us. You've got enough to worry about, Fergal. In any case, as we'll sort of get onto shortly. But first, I mean, let's talk about some football that actually matters and not an invented league to glorify friendlies, which was the World Cup qualifiers, or the outstanding 2 games that had to be played, involving Ukraine, Wales, and Scotland. Ukraine beating Scotland in the first game. I mean, it was a 2-1 drubbing, in fairness to them. Absolutely battered them. But then losing out narrowly to Wales 1-0. Now, if we want to talk about the game briefly, I would just want to get you guys' attitude towards the home nations. Now, we know Fergal doesn't like England. Your attitude towards Wales, Fergal, are you pleased to see them go into the World Cup, or would you have rather seen them go out, irrespective of them playing Ukraine and all the sort of goodwill to Ukraine in the footballing and wider world at the moment? If they were playing Estonia, would you want them to go through?
No, because we're the only one I have a soft spot for and like to see do well is Northern Ireland. Wales and Scotland, it's like we're basically on a par with them, and so if they're doing better than us, like,
there's some jealousy.
You know, yeah, there's jealousy. There's like, you know, we are current in terms of UK and Ireland outside of England. We're currently the most successful national team, I'm pretty sure, in terms of the amount of international tournaments we've gotten to. So if they start catching up on that, especially Wales, you know, or West England, as I like to say,
West England.
I'm not. Look, I don't definitely. It's definitely not on the same level of dislike for England. I don't mind them getting to a tournament as long as they're not don't do too well. In fairness, I did enjoy them doing well in the last when they got to the semi-final.
The Euro 2016.
Yeah, it was quite a likeable moment. But when I think about it, I'm like, do I really want them doing well or not? I'm not. I don't think I do.
Yeah. I can't. I don't know how you feel about them, George, as an Englishman, but I can't forget the scenes I saw at that Euros you just mentioned. When we went out to Iceland, and it was like that. It was their players watching the game, and it was like they'd won the tournament themselves. They were absolutely delighted to see us going out. Maybe partly because we beat them in that group game, and then it was sort of there was celebrations there, but they don't like us very much. The Welsh people don't seem to like us very much. Like, it's a very strange relationship we seem to have.
It's not that strange. It's fairly common with the other nations that you come across with.
I feel like, and this is the reason I'm saying it's strange. There's more goodwill to Wales than there is from English fans. Certainly to Scotland. Like, I think it's well documented that we don't like Scotland. Ireland, I mean, I can't remember us playing Ireland in quite a long time. So, and they don't qualify for many tournaments. Sorry to stick the knife in there, Fergal. So it's difficult for me to harbour an opinion towards them. But Wales, I don't know. Like, I feel like the people were pretty pleased to see them qualify for that Euro, as I just mentioned, and then they sort of like stuck the knife in and went and got to the semis. The bastards. I mean, they were supposed to just turn up and bend over really, but they didn't. But they're through. Now it sort of begs the question, I suppose: which club is Gareth Bale going to use as his pure gym for training for that World Cup? Well, who do we think?
I have no clue. I think it's a you have to have a decent golf course nearby. I would imagine he probably wants some good weather. I don't know whether you go for the romantic route and go for Cardiff. I've heard people mention that, but he would have to give up a lot of things, so I can't see him doing that. I'm not too sure what he's gonna go for, but it'll be it'll be somewhere nice. It'd be a nice city with a nice golf. If Lisbon would be perfect for him, wouldn't it?
Lisbon, yeah, somewhere in Portugal.
But then I don't know if they pay enough wedge,
Yeah. He's not a cheap man. George, you want to just add your piece on the home nations? I sort of didn't let you in on that one.
Yeah, on that is I'm quite happy one of them has qualified, and the only reason is I don't know if you've watched Mike Bassett, England manager, but Scotland and Ireland both qualify for the World Cup, and there's a bit of a rough up in the airport, but there's a compilation of Scotland's results, and they lose every single game, and they set it up. Can they do it again? Yes, they've gone out of the World Cup first time round, first time of asking. That happening to Wales and Scotland, especially in our group as well, would be absolutely fantastic. Like, I wouldn't want to see anything more. So knocking them out would be lovely, and therefore, it's quite nice to see them do badly in the World Cup.
Yeah,
on the global stage,
not be there.
Yeah, so
not be there, and then they can just laugh at us from their settee or
they
whatever.
Get battered by Iran or in the US. That's so good. Like, that's so unbelievably good.
Yeah, I forgot how easy your group is. Oh Jesus, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, though, we've had this discussion before, but I'll say it again. Like, having an easy group is one thing, but then at the path after that isn't. Whereas you prefer to have the sort of difficult group and then, an easier path to the final. Kind of like they've had, to be honest, like the last World Cup, they had Belgium in the group, albeit with Panama and who was the other? Tunisia. But then the path, the semis, and even the final, to be honest, including Croatia, was quite easy. So that tends to be my preference on it. Fergal, I think we're going to have to mention the hat trick here, which is the third game that Ukraine happened to play after not qualifying for the World Cup, which was against your boys, Ireland. Fresh off the back of a 1-0 loss to Armenia. Managed to spot that one, I did. So, do you want to just talk to us about the tough time that Stephen Kenny's men have been having?
You don't want to remember his name. I suppose I banged on about him enough. Stephen Kenny, he's had a tough time, but it's just all gone wrong all of a sudden. Lost to Armenia, it was like a 30-yard strike, the goal, but we couldn't really create anything. So many players that have that were doing well for us in the last international break that went really well for us, haven't came back in and done what they were doing as well. Such as like Benny and Callum Robinson, CR7. The two of them just look like completely different players. Doherty is a massive miss. Doherty, we currently play a 5 at the back, and that was so we could fit in our 2 regular Premier League players, which were Doherty and Coleman, both right backs, but Coleman play right centre back. Now Doherty's injured, Coleman's got an injury, and also Coleman he probably doesn't, on how he's playing at the moment, doesn't deserve to be starting.
He's not great. The legs have gone.
He can't play. He definitely can't play wing back. And
he's not wing back. Yeah, I was gonna say
he played wing back against Armenia, and then he got injured. Yeah. And then the solid players that I like that are usually really good, like John Egan and Duffy, just have been a wee bit off as well. Nathan Collins of Burnley has been fantastic.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I like him.
Like if any team picks him up this summer, it'd be good business. He is Premier League quality, and he was probably man of the match last night, but they gave it to Jason Knight, who plays with Derby. But yeah, the issue is that we, like, a lot of our players aren't playing regular first team football. They're after having a month-long break, and I've seen this before in the end of season game for Ireland, where, you know, no people aren't getting regular first team football. They come in and it's just like lack of ideas, really struggling to do anything. And yeah, so it just hasn't gone well. It's not clicking. I don't think, like, it's been bad performances in that we didn't create an awful lot, but in both games we made chances. In Armenia, it was a lot of set pieces that we made chances from, but we probably should have got one goal from Ogbeni had a free header in the middle of the box and even got some decent contact and managed to put it over. And then against Ukraine, again, in both games we start really well, start pressing, and I'm just there going, after seeing it so many times, you're like, if we don't score here, this game is going to go against us in the first 20 minutes, because we don't have the confidence to go on. And so we'll press, create chances through pressing, and then it'll peter out, and then the other team will start to come into it and gain confidence. In neither game I feel like we are really overrun. No. But we really shouldn't be. It's Armenia and Ukraine's second team, basically. Yeah. Armenia, I think we were unlucky. A lot of people said we didn't deserve, Armenia deserved the win. I didn't really believe that. I thought it was more of a draw, and they just had an unbelievable strike that made the difference. Yeah. Ukraine, I think they were more deserved winners, but again, like, in terms of the chances that were given up, there wasn't an awful lot, and it was I don't know if you saw the goal, but it was a poor mistake by Kelleher. Yeah. Kelleher on the defense, but I thought he should have come out and claimed it. It bounced. He started off his line slightly, and then as the ball came in, he took a step back, and the ball ended up bouncing where he was stood. So if anything, he should have took a step forward, and he would have been able to claim it. And it ended up just going straight in from a free kick. So Bazunu's a big miss in nets. Bazunu's meant to be going to Southampton he'll be battling out as their first choice with McCarthy. I can't see McCarthy lasting too long. I've banged on about Bazunu. Bazunu is fantastic, and he's a big miss. Yeah.
Is this the Man City goalkeeper?
Man City goalkeeper, yeah.
Yeah.
Unknown at Portsmouth last year. He's the business.
Short trip from Portsmouth.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like Ireland need to change up the formation where we went
with 3 at the back, don't they?
We're playing with 3 at the back, and that was, as I said, to get in,
accommodate the 2 right backs.
Accommodate the players. If Doherty's playing, I think it's worth doing, because he's so unique. Like I can't think of a wing back that plays like him. He's in the way he plays. He plays like as if he's like a left-footed inverted winger, but he's a right-footed wing back. Some of his runs are just like.
Well, they've used him on the left at Spurs as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
so it probably tells you that he's
like
not bad on
he
that
almost
side.
plays it like you almost think sometimes like you'd be more suited to play like you know like a Ramdeuter, you know like Thomas Muller's position, like just go wherever you feel sort of thing.
The thing is, everything you're saying there, it kind of concurs with the idea. He's definitely not a right back, like in a back four. And you've seen him used there for Spurs, and he's been like pretty awful in truth whenever he's played right back in a back four.
He hasn't impressed for Ireland at a back four. So I think anytime he's available, because he is our most exceptional player, I think like at the moment, especially the form, he was in incredible form like for a short period of time, and then he got injured. But whenever he's fit, I think it's worth doing a back five. But again, he's not the youngest. I'm pretty sure he's about 29 or so. So he's not going to have that many years left. So we need to try and move forward. And at the moment, I think we should play a 4-3-3 to sum it up. Basically, I just think that the wing backs that we have playing Cyrus Christie, I've always just thought is so bang average. He's wasn't getting in Nottingham Forest's team. Enda Stevens, who was coming back from an injury, and he was really good, and he was another reason why we were playing wing backs, because he was doing well for Sheffield United wing back alongside John Egan on that left side. But he's just had a bad season along with so many others. Callum Robinson finished the season not getting too much game time. Hendrick the same, he's in the middle of the park, and it's just like it's kind of just an acceptance of where we are at. And we're like, it's just going to take time, and we just have to wait for these good players to come through and hope that our good young players are getting good moves for first team football and regularly playing, like Bazunu. Hopefully, I'd love to see Collins get a Premier League move, and
as
long as he's playing first team football, and Jason Knight as well. And anybody that's not playing first team football, they need to try and get it move through. The only good thing is our under 21s, they're qualified for the playoffs of the under 21s European Championship, and their last game is against Italy away. If they beat Italy away, they actually qualify automatically. So it's big if that's next Tuesday. But you know, all is not lost. Like we are slowly but surely bringing through a new crop of player, but it's just like it's one step forward, two step back, in the words of a great Irishman, Ronan Keating. It's like we just have to be patient, but it's so fucking frustrating. You just want to you think we're getting somewhere, and then just taking one good player out like Doherty. He's not even that bloody good in the grand scheme of things, and we just look like we're out of ideas.
Well, so you've sort of already touched on it, but I will just sort of ask you again just to clarify. If you're looking at that team, who are the pillars that you're sort of looking to build around? If you're suggesting that it's about, you know, looking ahead and building around certain players, who are they? Collins is one. I think it's pretty obvious.
We've really good centre backs coming through. We have like Collins, Omobamidele, and Darrow Shea, who all are upper championship at them already at the moment, and will be looking to go into the Premier League, every one of them. So like they're all great. Then you have Josh Cullen, who plays for Anderlecht. He went from West Ham in the summer.
That's it. Thought I'd heard his name before. Yeah.
He's solid. He keeps things ticking over, but he's nothing special. But he is important to the way we play at the moment. But he's like, if you could choose to have a better midfielder, he could be like, can we get someone else in? But he's solid. He does what he does well, just nothing special. And then up front, I don't know, Jason Knight. I still like Ida. I hope he gets a good run in the championship next year. Again, he finished, both him and Omobamidele finished with injuries, and Ida was just starting to like find his feet in the Premier League. He like literally had 3 games, I think it was, where he got like a goal and assist in each one, and then got his injury, and then he was out. And then Jason Knight looks good, and we'll always have the odd player to come in like Ogbene or someone else like that, or Callum Robinson. But Shane Duffy's our biggest goal threat at the moment, and that is the big issue. We're not scoring, and Shane Duffy is our biggest threat. He lumbers up the pitch in the last 15 minutes to try and get on the end of something, and he should have scored, only for a brilliant save against Ukraine. But not that we should be moving on from those older players at the moment, because the younger players just aren't there yet. But we do have them coming through, and we have even like younger guys like Evan Ferguson at Brighton. He's been on the bench a couple of times. I don't know if he's got his debut yet. I have a feeling he might have. He's being compared to like sort of similar build to Haaland. I don't know if his football ability is up to that level, but he's a big brute, and he's fast, and he's a decent dribbler for his size. But he, in terms of goal scoring ability, I don't know. But he's been called. People are calling him like Haaland. I'll wait. I'll hold my breath, and then or I won't hold my breath, and then we have who else do we have? Zeffy is the one that's at AC Milan, or Inter Milan, I should say, who's a sort of a creative winger / number 10. And those guys are both sort of 16, 17. And then there's other guys that are there's a lot of, I think there's about 5 or 6 players that have been either signed or going to be signed by Italian clubs from the League of Ireland. And that's a result of Brexit.
I was going to say that they still remember what you did to them at Euro 2016.
Yeah,
you must have some good young players.
Yeah, that's it, and we're so it's on the like we're moving forward, but it's really, really slow and baby steps. And I felt confident that we could really make a go of the Euro qualification, but we'll just have to wait and see what.
I was going to say, George was going to ask you something, but on that, you've just mentioned Euro qualification there. What does Stephen Kenny have to do for you in the next year and a half to sort of justify keeping him? Kind of, what are the expectations?
At the moment, the expectation for me personally, they're not too.
Or is it not as like objective based? Is it more kind of what you're seeing? Is it soft factors? What is it?
I think we've taken such a hit in our ego as a footballing country that we can't expect results. We can't expect results against Luxembourg or Armenia. Like what if you look at the players, what gives us the right? You know, there's lads struggling to play championship football, and you know, with League One players in the team. What gives us the right to expect to get results against teams that are playing for Ukraine, or for Ukrainian teams, or Russian teams in Armenia's case, like that? We're getting like at least Europa League football. Like our lads aren't getting that, and so we like, and that's really hard to say, but we just have to, like, I don't know, the only reason Stephen Kenny should go is if the players start to turn, if it turns toxic, and that's far from it. But by all accounts, is that the players are really on board with what he's trying to do. And then if we just start regressing, start losing like games badly, and there's no signs of any green shoots, if that happened, I'd look to move on. But otherwise, we don't have any other options. It's either him or a person with a similar CV to him, like, or we're getting someone on the way down in their career. I'd much rather get a coach on their way up than on the way down. Like, you know, the only one we have the smallest of chances, and that's if his career's going badly, that you'd snap his hand off, is Brendan Rodgers, just because he's like kind of Irish, and like and he managed Celtic before. But like,
I think he's a couple of bad jobs out.
He's a couple of bad. He'd be on his way down if we ever got him. And so, you know, we're in this awkward position where I think we should be trying to promote from within, like good organizations do, or we'll be basically promoting from within. I think the England under-21s manager is an Irishman, so he's one that was getting talked about, but you know, like that's no definite. So you might as well stick with Stephen Kenny, and I do rate Stephen Kenny. In terms of what I'd expect, I hope we make a go of it in the qualification and try and, if we need to be close to the playoffs, I think at the least.
I mean, the positive news is you'll be going down into League C of the Nations League. The negative of that is that there is Luxembourg in that group, League C, and they actually might get promoted into League B. So,
might dodge them there.
Yeah, so you may dodge them, unfortunately. And so there's no mugs down there.
I'd be really disappointed if we end up getting relegated. Like we have we have to get the. I would say we probably only need 5 points to definitely avoid relegation. So beating Armenia at home and then a draw against Ukraine and Scotland, 4 points might do it for us, or even 3 with good goal difference. So yeah, I'm going to the game against Scotland. With my dad, so I was a lot more positive before the Armenia game, and now I'm like tempering my expectations. But it just feels like there's always seems to be something going against it, and I feel bad because with managers that I didn't like Mick McCarthy, I didn't give as many excuses as I do to Stephen Kenny, who I do like. But like all the previous Trapattoni famously was like, you know, these players aren't good enough, so we're gonna park the bus and kick the ball up the pitch, and that was when we had Damien Duff and Robbie Keane. So we're a long way out from that, and so we can't be expecting. If Trapattoni was saying that then, God knows what he'd be doing with this team. He'd probably just resign on the spot if he had to put this team out. I don't know what he would do, but yeah, you just have to be patient. It's so frustrating. And then I look over at England,
right?
And then you first of all you've got a couple of players that could have played for us that you're like, fuck me, it would have been amazing we had got them, but yous are just stacked, absolutely stacked in so many positions, and that's even harder to watch.
Well, as funny as it has been to revel in the misfortune of another home nation, we do need to talk about England. I don't really want to, but it's they probably do warrant a mention, kind of on the eve of a World Cup. I say on the eve. I mean, it would have started today if it was a bloody summer one, but no, gotta wait for the winter one in November.
I tell you what,
December.
just while we're on this, it's mad. It's mad the amount of Qatari or Saudi stuff that is starting to get funded after the World Cup was announced in Qatar, and that a lot of people at the time were giving off about it, and yet they're jumping on the bandwagon now. Spencer Owen is one.
It's funny you mention him, and it's quite befitting because on the day of recording this, not sure if there's any golf fans listening to this, but it's the first day of the Saudi-funded golf event, and who's right in the thick of it? Not Spencer FC, but his brother. Yeah,
and there were two content creators I really respect, especially what they do with hashtag. It is still really impressive what they're doing there. Yeah. But remember, they were big on the moralities of life and football, and the two of them have sold out. And they're just content creators. But no, I remember Poet and Vuj of Copa 90 fame. They went out as one of the ones to go and vlog themselves. Jackmate was out at the draw of the World Cup. Like, I get it's hard to turn down as a content creator to go and do football stuff, but it's hard. It's like, I know you can't speak then, and then David Beckham, who's the biggest turncoat of them all, he's now like an ambassador for this World Cup after completely slating it before. And then today, the overlap, Gary Neville's channel done an interview that was with David Beckham in Qatar, and it looks just to be a whole Qatari World Cup promotional video. And there's some lovely shots of beautiful buildings and stadiums and all in Qatar. It looks wonderful. Not going to deny that, but you know, it's who built them? You know, that's the question.
I'm a little bit more sympathetic to the content creators, not because I mean they've completely gone, you know, back on their, you know, their sort of persona and their word. They've completely sold out.
They can't give off about anybody else
not
selling
at
out
all.
from this point on if they're doing that. Which
it's
like fine, go get your money, but you know you can't talk.
No, but that's what I'm saying is arguably with being a content creator like that, you do have a short life cycle because of how sort of turbulent it is. Like
you don't know what's going to happen.
You're not if you're not relevant, quote unquote, then effectively those kind of chances, those opportunities goes amiss. So it's not as though you'll just get the next World Cup like David Beckham say. Yeah. But the fact that David Beckham is repping this World Cup is just ludicrous. Like as if he could not sort of rep a different one. I just think it's sad. It'll be interesting to see how it's covered in the UK. I don't and Ireland. You know, I don't know if it'll be. I imagine it's gonna be brushed under the table most.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of talk, you know, a couple of years ago, a year ago, about kind of what are the teams going to do, what's their attitude towards it going to be. They'll go and play in it, you know, and I'm not saying that the teams themselves are wrong to do so, and I think the coverage of it as a result will just be about the football. And you know, people are open to kind of their own interpretations of whether that's a good or a bad thing.
I'm just glad Ireland didn't qualify now, you know.
Yeah, then
they take the moral high ground on it.
They took the moral high ground by not qualifying.
Yeah,
it was a very
that's the real
noble
quiz.
act.
Moral high ground, and we've got plenty of it.
Quite right. But no, you make a good point about content creators. I think if you've been
it's just something I noticed this week with the golf tournament as well. Like they don't know what to be saying. The golf pros, they can't just admit, there's.
It's quite funny. Like basically watching the mental gymnastics that they're kind of trying to go through to just rather than just saying it's a shitload of money and I can't turn it down. Because like one of the guys they asked a few weeks ago basically said that, and I thought, you know what? You might not like where the money's coming from. You might not like the fact that they're not being loyal to a tour they've played on for 20 years or whatever, but at least he's telling you the honest reasons rather than giving you some bullshit response about, we're looking to sort of improve the safeguarding of the game. I mean, what does that even mean? It doesn't mean anything. But yeah, that's
and then the boxing as well, which is like they've was it Anthony Joshua's fights or in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just mad that like.
But you're right to mention that kind of the Qatar World Cup has sort of been what's the word I'm sort of looking for? Like
it was huge at the time, and then
there's been a snowball effect from that. You know,
it's like that and PSG. And everything else, like
wordsmith,
that came in, catalyst for it, it like, but like it was huge at the time whenever it was given, and because England were in for that World Cup, like the English press was like it was a disgrace, it was an outrage, you know, and rightly so it was, you know, it was terrible they didn't take your bribe as opposed to Qatar's, and and they like. And then, but like everybody came out, and Dave Beckham was like part of that bid for England, and then has since done this. He's the worst of them all, and like, but then like it's just so slowly softened the approach on it. I suppose that you can't do anything about it, bar just get on board with it. But it's mad. It's mad. Like
No, absolutely. And it won't be the last either. Won't be the last. But England, God, yeah. Let me ask you this, George, right? As a sort of fellow England supporter, what would Gareth Southgate have to do at the next World Cup to lose his job? Is there any scenario in which he could be fired off?
He absolutely has to lose his job if he doesn't qualify from the group stage. That is for certain. If he doesn't qualify from that group stage, he has to lose his job. Has to. I think context does matter, but although it hasn't mattered in terms of favouring him.
I mean, you're absolutely right. That's a great point because people will say, context matters, how you go out matters, but then they'll also point to the fact that he's got to a final and a semis without, acknowledging the context within that and the runs we've had along the way within that. So it's kind of like you can't have it both ways,
No, absolutely.
If we go out to France in the quarters and people go, oh, well, that's an underperformance. Well, you said us getting to the semis and the final was a great performance when we got shit draws. Yeah. So it's like you can't really have your cake and eat it. But no, you said the group stages.
Well, no, that's the definite. So I say if he doesn't do that, he has to get sacked. What I would say on top of that, I think if we go out in the round of 16, I haven't looked at the draws, so
it'll be provided we win the group, which I think.
Yeah.
Well, we should be looking to win that group.
Yeah.
It would be the runner-up of Group A, and then that's the path that would lead us to play probably France. They win their group and get through.
I haven't looked at it, and apologies for that, but I'm going to say a caliber of a team such as Germany. If he gets knocked out in that round, then I say he's got to go as well. I think this is the worst German side in history relative to Germany, in terms of their ranking within the world order. I'm just not convinced. I think it's also the way we play is just under.
Yeah,
I don't think
you're right to
ever
mention
impressed me. I genuinely don't think we dominate games in terms of possession sometimes, but it doesn't seem in control ever.
No.
And we certainly didn't deserve to draw against Germany. In fact, in the Euros, we probably didn't deserve to beat Germany. In my opinion. I think
it was moments.
They were extremely wasteful. I look back to that Muller chance.
Yeah.
I really do think this could be the tournament Southgate gets, because how much? I mean, it's also an aging squad in a lot of ways, in terms of Harry Kane, in terms of
Sterling.
These are our best players, no doubt. Yeah. When you look at Calvin Phillips and you look at Rice, and you're like, yes, they're fantastic, but are they going to win us? Are they world-class players? And I wouldn't say they are.
I think we have got some good players towards the kind of lower age bracket of the 20s, I think. But they're not going to stay young forever. And I do think when I look at it, Fergal's mentioned it. There's an abundance of talent there. We've got some good fullbacks, some good wingers, some good forwards in particular. Centre back's a bit of a weakness, obviously. I just don't feel comfortable with it being wasted on essentially a failed Middlesbrough manager. The man has no pedigree in the game, and I know international management it is a different. It's a different requirement, I suppose, to kind of navigate your way through an international tournament as opposed to a 38-game league season.
Yeah,
but
I
don't like
actually,
anything I'm seeing.
I think Southgate. Now, bear with me with this. I think he was the perfect manager for the moment that he took the England job.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a fair shot.
And I think you should never have gotten anywhere only for him changing the atmosphere, which I think was the trickiest thing to do. Yep. You're never going to get anywhere without people falling back in love with the England team, which has happened, without the press being back on side. And I feel like it's a big part of that is his positivity, the way he carries himself, the way they call him a statesman figure. He does make you. I imagine he's a proper role model. You're proud that as a person he's representing your country, and he says all the right things. He done that brilliant handwritten, or not handwritten, but he wrote a letter to the fans on Players Tribune, wasn't it? And that was a touch of class. That he's constantly touch of class.
Yeah.
In saying that, I feel like he almost should be let just do that role, and an actual head coach. He should almost be like a director of football. He should focus on the holistics of it all, and let someone else do the coaching, which I think in some ways is done with Steve Holland. But like I feel like Southgate maybe shouldn't have any choice in who gets picked and who doesn't. Like maybe he should Southgate should be able to pick the good vibe players. You know, like he gets to pick 5 players in the squad that are just good vibes and are good lads, and they're gonna keep it going, like Cody and Mings and the boys. You know, I feel like they should be doing it like that. But I don't think you should knock what he's done, and I think it's a harder job to get England to what they are now than it seems. I genuinely do believe that, and I think he's like a better version of Solskjaer.
Do you know what? That was the analogy I was going to sort of plot. I mean, it's different again, as I said, international manager.
Solskjaer should have moved a bit sooner than he did. But I feel like as long as this World Cup doesn't go terribly for you, and he did leave and he's moved on and got a better coaching, I feel like Southgate is leaving you in a nice space.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like it's all hypotheticals, but there's an interesting parallel there. Like, say Solskjaer leaves at the end of last season rather than starts this season, starts it as he did.
Yeah.
You know, getting them like thumped.
Absolutely. If he left from the summer,
and they were seventh. If he'd left, even though they lost the Europa League final, I still think people would have said, you know what, they were a shambles when he came in. And I'm not saying he built anything great, like he clearly didn't, but history would have been kinder to him. And I kind of feel like with Southgate, a similar thing could happen here, where if he takes us into this next World Cup and into the Euros after that, and we don't progress, and that doesn't just mean we have to win the thing and keep getting to the final or semi-finals. Again, it's kind of what you're watching, right? Like you can tell whether something good is going on there. Like when I'm watching us play against Hungary, we've played Hungary twice in the last year and a bit, and we've been diabolical against them both times and created absolutely fuck all in both games. It's just like, I know it's friendlies, they are glorified friendlies, the Nation League, but Jesus Christ, what am I watching with my eyes? It's just awful, absolutely awful.
Yeah, it's like that. Is it like that? Is it the Batman quote? You know, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Great quote, and it's
very true to a lot of things. And I feel like football management is one of them. That you know, he could either if he left after this tournament, I almost feel like that's the right, depending on how this tournament goes, obviously. But I do feel like it's just coming to the end of it. With England, I you know what, I shouldn't have actually said that. No, they're doing great. They're going to be brilliant. He's going to win the lot. But no, but there just seems to be a couple of things like it's just a couple of murmurs about like I can just see him getting he's got so much options. I could just see him getting a team selection wrong, and then everything you know, his authority goes and the people start questioning him. But I think I genuinely think he's done a great job, and he is very likable, and it'd be a shame if he was to become the villain, if he stayed too long. But it's hard to know when to leave, especially when you haven't won anything. If you won a World Cup, you go, great, I can go out on a high and that's it. But like when you haven't won anything and you feel like, oh, just give me one more go or one more try at it. I've got these new young players coming through. It's easy to stay on then.
Arsene Wenger at Arsenal. Just give me one more year, and then eventually, like, you know, you leave in a position where you've done more damage than you have good.
In regards to him, what he would do to get sacked, in my opinion, I think he definitely gets sacked if you don't get past the first knockout stage. I think that's
really first knockout.
Depending on who they play, but I think it's only truly acceptable for England to go out to one of the finalists. If
You're probably right.
It's not them. One of the finalists, or it, and then like, I think that's fair to say. And then there's it, depending on what other teams are truly great at that World Cup, if you went out to one of them. But we'll have to wait and see who those people are. But or those teams are. But I'd say it's like 3 or 4 teams at max that would be acceptable to go out to.
I mean, I agree with you, but like, I'll answer my own question here. I don't think there's a scenario in which he'll get sacked. You've got to remember, Roy Hodgson, admittedly, it was a hard group. We got grouped in Brazil, and he still got to the next tournament, and he didn't have actually on paper the accolades that Southgate has in terms of taking us to a semis, then a final. He has more credit in the bank than he did, and yet they gave him another tournament. So,
the expectations weren't as high.
And the turnaround as well. Yeah, but the turnaround's short as well. It's sort of it's a year and a bit rather than 2 years. I'd be really surprised, and it's. I know what you mean about expectations. Like, they are higher. I think people expect us to, be in the.
It might be what you said. Like you're saying. Like, how long do we have with these great players? And do we if he doesn't do it at this World Cup, will people within the FA go, we can't waste this golden generation again after having a previous golden generation?
Call it something else. You got to call it something else.
But that's what happened with the other generation. He didn't have the right manager, and he didn't end up winning anything. And he's done his bit, but he can't get you that. He can't get you that. He can't take you to that penalty shootout to win you something. No. And I still blame him all on that penalty shootout. I think it was a terrible decision.
I blame him all for the whole tournament. I think we were lucky, and I think we were lucky at the World Cup. Like, when you go back and watch the games, we didn't play very well in many of them. And maybe that's just knockout football, but not impressed. One more question before we finish, and it's kind of the golden question everybody wants to know. What the hell does he see in Mason Mount? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. What does he see in Mason Mount, though? I don't get it. I don't understand. Everyone tells me I don't understand.
I love right. Mason Mount. Every game he plays, he's incredible for Chelsea and shocking for England, and it's absolutely lovely.
Yeah. Well said.
But I don't know. I think
you must love it, Fergal. It's perfect for you.
It's perfect for me. Him and Reece James gave away a penalty, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was harsh though. But we've Mason Mount. It's a strange one because every single manager that he's had, and he's had.
Yeah, they always pick him.
Thomas Tuchel really rates him. Like, really
plays him basically every game he can.
Like. I do think he must be a good player. He must be a good player. I think
there's got to be something better. He's got to be better than this.
He's not a left winger. He's not. I don't.
He struggles. He's always struggled there.
He's not a left winger.
I think he's better actually out on the right wing than he is on the left. If you have to play him in one of those positions, but he'd be better. He's better in midfield 3. But he mightn't suit England. Like with the other players you have available there. He might not suit. I think he is. I think he is terrific, but he's good. He's good to get in the half spaces, and his first touch is brilliant, and his passing is brilliant in that, and he's got quick thinking. But but you need someone to pass to him in those half spaces for and to be good at passing to pick him out. So yeah, but it's weird how Mason Mount he just must be a great lad to be getting in with.
Always early. He's putting the cones out for training, for coaches, and
he does come across like head boy sort of aura, Yeah,
but I agree with Fergal in this sense. If he doesn't fit the system, you can't play him. So it's square pegs, round holes. He's going to be great for Chelsea. He's going to carry on being great for Chelsea. We've had this problem with the quote-unquote golden generation of trying to fit players into a system that just aren't going to work. If it comes to fruition that Mason Mount can't play in this England team, then drop him. I still think he's good enough. I think he can make it, but if it's bad performance after bad performance, he does need to be dropped. I'm happy. I'm not too proud to admit that.
What are your 3 or 4 players that you're like you have to build the team around? Because that's what it comes down to, is getting the best players in the best positions and letting them flourish.
I don't think it's single player. I think Walker. I think Walker is a player that we need to play over Trent and James, and I think at least for this tournament anyway.
I basically what it comes down to is less what you've asked, Fergal. It's more which players are gonna play. Like, who, if they're fit, they play, right? And if you go through it, it's Kane. Although I hate to say it, Sterling,
Yeah, Sterling.
Kane and Sterling play. Kane plays, mate. Look,
I
don't
don't
want him
want
to,
him
but he
to,
does.
but yeah,
No, neither do I. But he plays. Kane plays, Sterling plays, and then it's one other in the forwards. I think in midfield it's a bit more open.
Rice will play.
I think Rice will play, but then is it Phillips? I mean, I don't think Bellingham's there yet. Is it Henderson? Probably not.
I don't think Phillips is there yet either, if I'm honest.
Right, so it's more open there. And then the fullbacks is, anyone's guess. And then I think he probably just goes with Stones. He probably goes with Maguire, and he probably goes with the keeper. So it's like, I know what you mean. Like none of them. Like you could go through all of them and like pick a fault in those players being like nailed on starters.
So the only ones that are I was thinking the same. I was thinking the only two that like you have to find a way for them to be in my opinion, are Sterling, Kane.
Yeah, and also those guys haven't got many more tournaments. Like those two at their peak.
Yeah.
Like there's probably only 2-3 more at best.
The Euros will be their last at their peak.
Yeah, and then they might play one after, but by then you're kind of bringing your Fodens, your Sakas, maybe your Sanchos, those guys. They're the guys in those positions then, hopefully. But for now, I think it's Kane and Sterling, and then it's the centre backs and the goalkeeper. As much as we don't rate them, it's kind of like I don't see anyone else playing.
I like John Stones. I'm not convinced by Maguire, especially. I mean, him rushing out. I don't know what he's positioning. It's awful.
Oh, let's not start. Let's not start.
It'd be too long to.
Let's not start. We're coming to an end here, boys. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed talking international football for once. I never thought I'd say it.
Is that because it was mostly negative and you had to have a bit of a rant, so you feel more comfortable in this sort of conversation
about international football? I think that much has become clear by now. I also just don't understand why they're still playing. Like they're basically going to get like 2 weeks off, and then it's going to be pre-season. Like, and we wonder why footballers are, as much as they live great lives and that. I mean, they're definitely overstretched when it comes to the playing schedule, and having international football until mid-June probably doesn't help. So. Yeah, not a big fan of it, but it's been good to talk Ireland's troubles, Fergal. Not the troubles, Ireland's troubles now. I just had to get that in there. And it doesn't quite equate to that. But no, good, pleasure talking to you boys as always. It's good to be back at it, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers.